Hi, hello everyone. Happy Friday to all. Welcome on this Friday to our Business Basics Friday session. Sorry for the delay, had a little technical challenge there, but that's the nature of the beast. All right, so if you're here for the first time, I'm Safietou Russell, CEO and founder of SDR Consulting, Inc. Second. Business Basics Friday is a weekly session catered to providing valuable information to business owners. We have a variety of guest speakers to help share information and educate you on the many areas that business owners need to manage. As far as my background, I've been in the industry 20 years and I'm a CPA and enrolled agent and also have my master's in taxation. And SDR Consulting Inc. is a virtual firm based in New York, but we service clients all over the US because we are virtual, and we mostly work with business owners, helping them with business startup as well as business cleanup services. So as we have our guest speaker present today, if you have questions, I am going to recommend you go ahead and post them in the comments if you're here on Facebook or on the Clubhouse back channel if you're here on Clubhouse, and we will go over them at the end. All right, so you can definitely also feel free to share a little bit about where you're chiming in from, here in New York, and it is 43 degrees today. It's been a whirlwind of weather this past week, but I guess we're in the middle ground here. So I want to introduce our guest speaker now, and it's my pleasure to have, Michael Esposito on the show. He's the founder and CEO of DenTen Insurance, an independently owned full-service insurance brokerage. DenTen's mission is to protect you while serving our global and local communities. And in this presentation, Michael will share the basics of the importance of business insurance. So, Michael, the floor is yours. Take it away.
Thank you, Safi. And similar to you, we're also a virtual insurance agency. We're just getting ready to share our slides. And I see we have our slides up. Perfect, thank you. As Safi mentioned in her opening here, today we're going to cover the basics of insurance and what a BOP is, or a business owner's policy is. I'll also describe what a cyber policy is and how a cyber policy will keep you in business should you have a cyber attack on your business. I see we're just going through a little technical difficulties with our slides, but we'll have them up and running in 2 seconds. I'm just going to continue for us. This is presented by DenTen Insurance Services, a forward-thinking insurance company for all your insurance needs. Through the DenTen Foundation, we donate a portion of our profits to support our local and global communities. DenTen, insurance for the next generation. We're giving back on a global scale. I'm Michael Esposito, a professional speaker and the founder and CEO of DenTen Insurance Services. I'll share more about what we do at DenTen and why you should choose to work with us at the end of the presentation. So let's jump right into it. How many of you know what insurance is? Just by a show of hands or drop it in the comments. Let us know if you know what insurance is. All right, most of you out there probably know what insurance is, but do you know why you have insurance? Do you know what insurance does for you? First, I'll share what insurance doesn't do for you. Insurance is not a savings account and should not be bought just to fulfill a legal requirement. Insurance will not protect you from a tragic event. Insurance gives you peace of mind, and it helps keep you financially stable in the event of a total or partial loss. You pay your insurance bill on a monthly or annual basis, so that if something bad happens in the future, the insurance company will pay for a covered loss. Simply put, you pay a small amount now so that if something really bad happens, you don't have to pay hundreds, thousands, or even millions of dollars later. Think about it. Should something bad happen to you, your car, home, business, or even your little fur ball, your insurance carrier will pay the cost to replace or fix these damages, as long as they're covered on your policy. Insurance is the reset button. It makes you whole again. There are many types of insurance. Most of us think of the most common types: health insurance, auto insurance, and oh yeah, I need home or renter's insurance. I just started a business. Should I get business insurance? Did you also know that there's pet insurance? There are all types of insurance. If it's valuable, both financially and emotionally, there's a policy out there for it. As business owners, you may want to consider a general liability insurance policy, property insurance, workers' compensation, or a business personal property, or BPP, for your computers, office furniture, etc. The list goes on. One we'll dig into today is cyber liability insurance. So why do you need insurance? Think about it. Really think about it. Why did you purchase an insurance policy? Drop it in the comments or chat or share it over in Clubhouse. What are you covering in your policy? Do you understand what your coverages are? What's covered and what's not? How much will it cost you not to get the right insurance program? Once you establish what you need, most times, a broker can tailor a policy within your budget. Most of us own a car. Why did you get insurance on your car? Yes, it's required by law, but this isn't the only reason. For this example, we'll use an average commuter car worth 20 grand. If something were to happen to that car after you purchased it, such as a car accident and it was totaled, would you have $20,000 in your pocket to go out and buy another car? Most of us, not likely. For those who can, they have much more expensive cars. Think about it. In the same respect for your business, if something were to happen to your business, someone falls and gets hurt, your property is stolen or damaged, a cyber attack takes down your website, how would you pay for this? How would you compensate that person? That's where your insurance policy comes in. It's the reset button. Speaking of your business, here's an insurance term you may be familiar with. And if you're not, you'll learn it today. It's a BOP. So what's a BOP? A BOP is a business owner's policy. You're a business owner and you have an insurance policy. So it's pretty simple to remember. A BOP brings the most common lines of coverage into one policy, making it easy and less stressful for a business owner like you to cover multiple risks in less time. Let's go over how a BOP, or how you get a BOP. While shopping for insurance, you can call an insurance broker like me, and you can say, hey, I just opened this business. I have a storefront and I need insurance for my store. Okay, great. We can get you a general liability insurance program. In case someone gets hurt in your store, you say, thanks. I also own the building. Okay, so you'll need property insurance to reimburse you should something damage your property. And then you say, well, I also have 3 computers, a couple of desks, and a really expensive coffee machine. Are those covered? Okay, how much is all of this worth to you, I might ask? And you say, about 20 grand. All right, it sounds like you need business personal property insurance. Cool, so let's get that as well. Do you see how we're adding more and more lines of coverage to your insurance program? Rather than going to different companies for each line, we go to one carrier and put together a BOP for you. We can shop a BOP with multiple carriers as well. Most BOPs have these lines of coverage included in their policies. For larger, more complex businesses, we may put together a package policy. This is where we shop different carriers for different lines of coverage and insurance programs. But that's a conversation for another day. Back to our BOP. There's one coverage that BOPs don't always include, and that's what we're going to talk about today, a cyber insurance policy. The BOPs, which include a cyber policy, typically have minimal coverages, which can be increased, but they can be as low as $5,000. Let's think about this. As I go on to the next couple of slides, I want you to think about how much money would it cost if you had a cyber attack? And what does a cyber attack look like? This is what many of us think a hacker looks like. We think they're in a dark basement with a hood on, writing a bunch of code behind a bunch of screens, working 24/7 till their fingers bleed, and that they're only targeting Fortune 500 companies. The truth? Most hackers work 9-to-5 jobs. They go to work just like you and me. They look just like you and me. They create code for ransomware, viruses, and much more. Their code sends out bots who scour the internet to either lock up your website, hold it for ransom, or worse, cause a data breach. These are all different attacks that happen daily in the cyber world. Anyone who has a computer can be a hacker, and anyone whose business is on the internet can be hacked. A hacker can be in a coffee shop sitting right next to you. I have a question for all of you today. So get your chat buttons ready. Get ready to type in true or false. True or false? Small business owners are the most vulnerable to a cyber attack. And before I go on to the next couple of slides, Safi, Cecile, take a look into the chat. Let's just take a look and see how many trues are coming in and how many falses are coming in. We'll just take a second for that. But I know based off of past presentations, most of you business owners out there are pretty savvy. So we'll go on. It's true. It's true. While many people think that large companies like Target or Home Depot or Garmin are more vulnerable because their attacks cost millions of dollars and are highly publicized, the truth is small business owners are the most vulnerable. And this is because small business owners don't have the firewalls or IT departments in place to prevent an attack from happening. Think about it. Do you have a firewall set up to prevent your business from an attack? Do you have an IT department dedicated to monitoring cyber activity? Let's think back about this hacker. The hacker isn't going down Main Street saying, I'm going to attack this florist. And the hacker isn't thinking about the Fortune 500 either. The hacker is just creating code for a bot that's going to troll the internet to find vulnerabilities. They're essentially looking for an open door. If your business has an open door, well, that bot's letting themselves in. And if they come in, they may lock up your website, steal your information, and much more. What does that look like for you? How much did your website cost? Most small businesses can spend thousands of dollars building a website. From a web developer to a graphic designer, copywriter, marketing, the list goes on. So what will it cost you? If a cyber attack freezes up your website and you need to start from scratch again, how about your customers or clients? What kind of information do you store? Do you keep their emails, addresses, phone numbers? Did you promise them that you wouldn't share their information with anyone? How are you going to repair these damages? Inform your customers. The cost can climb into the tens of thousands of dollars very quickly. You'll have to tell your clients and customers that their data was compromised. Rebuild your website. How about the loss of income? Your website's been down for a week, 2 weeks, a month. How much money have you lost due to an attack? This is why I say a cyber policy can save your business. It's not going to prevent a cyber attack from happening, but it can bring you back financially. Cyber attacks can happen to anyone, anywhere, anytime. A cyber policy is not going to stop a breach from happening. It's up to you to take preventative measures such as setting up firewalls, updating your systems, and/or hire an IT consultant. Adrian Leiber, CEO of Hudson InfoSec, says, apply security updates or patches as soon as they come out, because that's the best way to stop the attack from being successful. you can see how this can cost well over the minimum coverage in a BOP. So looks like we're going to have to increase the coverage on our BOP, which is perfectly fine. You can get strong firewalls, make sure your vulnerabilities are limited, and that your doors are closed so that those bots can't just walk in, but an attack can still happen. So we go back to why get cyber insurance and what insurance does. Again, a cyber policy will not prevent the attack from happening, but it will bring you whole. It's the reset button if you're covered. It'll help reimburse you for the site you lost. It'll help reimburse you to notify your customers. It can even reimburse you for the income you lost in a given time frame. Depending on the type of cyber policy you have and your coverage limits, you can be back up and running very quickly. At DenTen, we understand a business's needs. We understand that not every business is the same, and their cyber liability needs might not be as robust as others, such as the craft vendor working from home might not need such a robust cyber policy in comparison to the e-commerce business that stores data and sells everything online. DenTen was founded with that in mind, not shoehorning our clients into a program that doesn't fit their needs. Transparency keeps us competitive. With well over 50 insurance carriers in our network, we're able to shop policies and programs that are right for you, sharing detailed information, cost analysis, and other relevant information to help you make an informed decision. Finally, one of our core values that we're most proud of is reciprocity. We give back on a global scale and on a local scale. Our dedication through the DenTen Foundation is to help and meet the medical needs of the people in Haiti. We bring that back home, right in our local backyards, by sponsoring the St. Jude Foundation and other local non-for-profits in the tri-state area. When you buy a policy with DenTen, you're giving back on a global scale. So why would you choose DenTen? Because we're an independently owned, forward-thinking company, putting our clients' needs above all else. Our name is inspired by my daughters, Denise and Tenley, sharing our family with yours. We look forward to create relationships, not just for today, but for the next generation. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing, Michael. That was really important information and education, because a lot of people may not have really understood the importance of insurance and the different risk factors that are out there. I know some things that I've come across personally is those who are establishing new businesses, right? First of all, business ownership in general is new for people, and they are discussing different entity types and should they be a sole proprietor, should they be an LLC, and so on. And they seem to think that just by creating an entity, maybe you don't need insurance, or you have enough protection with just having the entity established. What's your thoughts on that, Michael?
Well, the first thing I would say is, depending on how they decide to create or form their entity, to speak with an accountant. And so, Safi, you're obviously the person to go to for that. My thoughts on that, I think, are pretty clear, is that that's not true. You need insurance. No matter what you're doing, you need an insurance policy. I go back to your budget and your risk tolerance. Those are the two things to consider when you're thinking about an insurance policy. Is what's your budget? And to think about what can you afford for insurance. And then we go back to that other question of that contrast to it, which is, can you not afford getting an insurance policy? In other words, even if you have, we go back to this craft vendor who might be creating something out of their home. You go back to that person, if they sell something to someone, if something happens, if they lose all of their product, can they afford the loss, is really what it comes down to.
Right.
And some people, which is like, self-insured, they're willing to take on that risk. So that goes to the risk tolerance of, what, I got $10,000 invested in my business, and you know what, if I lose all of the materials at 10 grand, it's a loss, and I'll write that off. That's a risk tolerance. That's what it speaks to. But then we go into lawsuits, which can go into the tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars, and that's really where you want to be concerned. And I go back to the affordability of an insurance policy. They're really affordable, and I think, and this too when you're meeting with your clients, is you don't have to have this crazy business plan. I mean, I know I do for my business, but you don't have to have a crazy business plan, but you have to have some sort of a plan. And the plan includes forming the LLC or INC or whatever it is, right? It includes your materials, it includes your marketing, and it should include your insurance. And you should budget for that the same way that you budget for marketing, for rent, for materials. You should budget for that. A small business owner's policy could be less than $1,000, depending on where they are, what they do. So it's in their best interest to at least shop it, take a look at it, and budget for it.
Totally agree. And in working with clients in the business startup phase, one of the first steps we want to have with them is a consultation to discuss the different entity types from a tax and accounting perspective. I have a lawyer to kind of handle the legal side of it. But yes, insurance should be one of those beginner phases. We want to get bookkeeping established. We want to talk about taxes, but we also want to make sure you're protected. Then there's, the legal side, trademarks and things of that nature. There's so much preparation needed to really get started out on the right foot and not try to fix things after the fact, and most people can't afford those claims that, God forbid, may come in. So it definitely makes sense. We have insurance on like health and car, but we don't have insurance on the most important asset, that you put your work into. And that insurance protects the company. So yes, an LLC or corporation can shield you from liability when used properly. But what's protecting the business itself? Right? That's the insurance.
That's right.
You don't
and,
want...
and also, by the way, in that is, and in all of and in your insurance program is the legal costs too. So even if you didn't do anything wrong and nothing happened and it wasn't your fault, and that's where some business owners will speak to me and say, but I'm not worried about it. If someone wants to sue you, they're suing you. And how are you going to pay for your legal defense?
Right.
You have to pay for that. So sometimes, depending on the policy, obviously you have to dig into every policy is differently, so I can't speak generally. But depending on the policy, those costs are included in there, and that's important.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, so if anyone has questions, we are going to be on for a little bit longer to take any questions. In Facebook, go ahead and throw it in the chat. In Clubhouse, you can throw it in the back chat, I think it's called. So I'll be on the lookout for that. But Michael, can you kind of share a little bit about how you got into insurance, and into the business ownership world?
I heard a very good quote about the insurance industry, and I'm going to steal it, of why I got in, and it's nothing special, but it's a noble profession. I heard a gentleman speaking about it as a noble profession. And so I'll kind of backtrack on that nobility for a second here and go to reality of, I was in marketing for a very long time, and just without making a long story out of this whole thing, I was looking for a career that I can make an impact on my community. I was looking for a career that I can build relationships in. And then I was also looking for a career that I could be financially successful in. And that's where, when I literally searched on Google what those careers look like, and insurance stood out. There was a lot of other careers that came up, but insurance stood out for me. And a lot of it was because it was relationship driven. And that's really who I am. And I think that's what DenTen speaks to when we talk about our family to yours, is we're all about the relationship, all about getting to know our clients, our community, and being a part of all of that. So I got into insurance with a captive agency, which means that I only sold one carrier. And then I moved on to the independent model. And that's where I really fell in love with insurance, was in the independent model, when I was able to see how to help a client through multiple different channels of carriers of different insurance. And then I was able to move into the business sector outside of just the personal, and also bring in the business. So that's when it became a lot more fun for me, because I got to learn about people's businesses. That's my specialty, is business insurance. I have other producers on my team that focus on personal lines and lifelines and different types of insurances. For me, business is something I really enjoy to learn about. And I'm really involved in the community. I'm part of a chair for my chamber, Toastmasters. I run a basketball league. I really embrace the community around me and enjoy it, and just do it for the fun of it, quite honestly.
That's awesome. I don't know how many hours you have in a day, but that's That's
I
definitely
will
a
say
favorite
that
role.
Cecile, who's on with us today, adds some hours to my day, and I always got to give props to my wife, who supports our family in all aspects.
That's awesome. Awesome. Yes, Cecile, definitely great presentation, graphics and all that. And it's good to have that support. As a business owner, we need coverage. We need to have all of our, systems in place. We need our, back office support. We need our insurance. And we need our bookkeeping, and we need the proper entity selection. So a lot of pieces go into it, and I do enjoy as well, Michael, working with business owners, especially in the startup phase, because you can get them fresh, properly informed, get everything set up, and then you're off to a good start. With the statistics being the way they are, with small businesses not surviving the first 5 years, a lot of times it's because all that wasn't done on the front end.
Right.
And it's we do offer the business cleanup, but of course that's more costly than just doing it from the beginning. But you can always make a fresh start. I love the reset button, comment you mentioned regarding the insurance. So if you don't have insurance now, you can still get it, contact Michael. We'll go over his information and get it in place now before you, God forbid, have that situation. So
I want to just touch on something you just said there too, with about everybody that's involved in a business and building a business is, you hear the old adage of it takes a village to raise a child. And it's so true. I mean, I have 2 daughters, and you see it with aunts and uncles and cousins and friends and everything. It's the same when it comes to business, is that you might consider yourself a solopreneur or a one-person shop, but you don't do it alone. You need a team around you, and that team doesn't have to be internal. You don't have to have your own marketing person or your own accounting person or your own insurance. You can go outside and find people like SDR, like DenTen, like Pepper, that can come in and help in multiple ways for your business to be successful. And just go back to what you just said about startup businesses and thinking about it all. If you're thinking about starting a business, or you've started a business, the crucial part about your business is this operations part of putting together this team, putting together this plan with all of these different people so that you could be successful in the long run. Because if you're a year in, 2 years in, and you haven't thought about this stuff, it's going to catch up with you. And that work can all be for naught if, God forbid, something bad happens, whether it's on the financial side and taxes or on the insurance side in terms of claims. You could have worked your butt off for 4 or 5 years and lose it all. And I don't want to go there too much, but that's why it's so important that from the very beginning, or from right now, you get that team in place and you get everything taken care of.
Makes sense. Absolutely. And one of the things that I hear as a question is, when should I get insurance? So you answered that right away. Right when you're in that planning phase of your business, it should be on the list of things to start up.
It should be on the list. And, in that planning phase, you may not need to have it in place at that moment, but you should at least start talking to a broker, start learning about the different coverages, start learning about the different needs that you have, and then start shopping it. Start taking a look at the different prices that are out there. Price isn't everything. And remember, you get what you pay for. So you might get lower coverages because you want a lower premium. So you get what you pay for. So understand what you're getting, what kind of coverages are, what the limits are, and compare apples to apples when you're comparing policies. And don't just let price dictate where you're going to end up. You want to make sure, just like with you, Safi, you want to make sure you have a very good relationship with your broker, because the difference between a broker and an agent is that a broker represents you as a client. So you become our client and we represent you. So our relationship is very, very important, that we understand everything that you need and who you are, so that when we go to the carriers, we can paint that picture for them and tell them that story. Because while one carrier might say, hey, you know what, this isn't a risk that we want to work with, if we can paint a picture for them and share with them the relationship that we have with that client, we might actually be able to get you in the door there. So the relationship between you and the broker is very important. And it's great to establish it in the planning phase, because you don't have to buy anything, and you can let them know, hey, I'm just trying to shop around. I'm just trying to see what's right for me and see who's a good fit, and interview brokers. It's okay to say that.
I love that. And thank you for clarifying that, because insurance broker versus insurance agent, I learned something new today.
Well, we wear 2 hats. I wear 2 hats, to be honest. I'm a broker when I'm working with my clients, and then I'm an agent when I'm with my carrier, because the agent represents the carrier. So we wear 2 hats.
Good to know. Good to know. Perfect. Perfect. So we learn every day. It's always great to have people to share, like yourself, Michael, and myself. We want to get the information out there, because we want to see you have success. You know, we want to see you have legacy and create, independence financially and so on. And I love to hear people's goals. I love to see people transition from, maybe corporate America into business ownership, or they do both. It's just great to become a part of your client's experience, so I can relate on that. And then being able to develop the different relationships in the industry to be able to refer people and, feel good about who you're referring them to. That's really important. So I'm definitely glad we had a chance to meet, Michael, and have you share this topic today. And I think it was definitely important. I'm not seeing any questions right now. So what we're going to do is go ahead and close out. I'm going to just kind of share my background for anyone who's jumped on late. Michael, I'm going to have you just recap for yourself as well, share your contact information so that people can get that insurance in place if they don't have it already. All right. So if you're just joining us, we were here for Business Basics Friday. It's a weekly session every Friday, 12 o'clock Eastern, where we have a guest speaker come on to provide, content, education, information for business owners. It is just informational, right? So everyone's situation is different. So definitely want to, have your one-on-one conversation if needed. My background is I've been in the industry 20 years. I'm a CPA and enrolled agent and also have a master's in taxation. And I'm the CEO and founder of SDR Consulting, Inc., which is a virtual firm based out of New York, but we work with clients all over. And we mostly work with business owners, helping them with the business startup phase, which is, the consult, bookkeeping setup, tax prep, tax planning, and then business cleanup. If you mess things up, you need to do a compliance check, back taxes, back bookkeeping, get you back on track. And then lastly, tax resolution for those who have gotten into trouble with the IRS estate. We can represent you before them and help get you back to that reset button, right? So that's a bit about myself. You can find us online on social media at SDR Consulting and online at sdrconsultinginc.com. And lastly, by phone, 516-255-6603. All right, Michael, you can go ahead and take us away.
Cool. Michael Esposito, DenTen Insurance Services. You can find us online at DenTen.io. We say .io because we are a virtual agency and we are very well associated with the tech industry. So DenTen.io, I would highly suggest to put your information on our contact page and be a part of our mailing list. In that mailing list, same as you, we share information to help you in your business. So if you're a business owner, we send out different things about HR compliance, about workers' compensation, general liability, all different types of blogs that are very important for you. You don't have to read them all, but at least you kind of get the highlight to it to where you can at least have a great informed conversation with a broker like us.
Perfect. Okay. Thank you again, Michael, for, spending time with us today and sharing your thoughts and insight. And we will be back next Friday, everyone. So next Friday at 12, tune in, share with a friend. This content will be posted onto my YouTube page as well as my podcast in another week or two. So you can definitely, re-listen. It'll be on the page for Facebook and share with a friend. All right. So everyone have a great weekend. Stay safe and we'll see you next week.
Little plug for you, Safi.
Yes.
Safi's going to be on the Michael Esposito show very soon, and you're going to get to know her on a more personal level. So stay tuned for that.
Yes. Looking forward to that, Michael. Definitely. We will definitely get that date set up.
Cool.
All right. Everyone have a great day. Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.